Hello and welcome back to Ontology Explained. I'm Casey Hart, philosopher and ontologist, and we're going to do a short series here on terms you need to know. So the idea is that you're trying to build some of your own ontologies, or at least read somebody's ontology more carefully. You want to understand what are the basic building blocks, what vocabulary do I absolutely have to have in order to start creating RDF, RDFS, OWL ontologies. That's what this series is for. In this first video, we're just going to hit the terms that you need to know from RDF, the Resource Description Framework. Before I get into those, there are three basic categories I'm going to be splitting terms into. There are the must-haves. This means absolutely any ontology I'm building or that you're building, you're going to be using this term. Then we have the almost must-haves, which are you might be able to do without it, but for one reason or another, it doesn't quite make the must-have list. Maybe it's pedagogical, maybe it's useful for you to learn about it, or maybe it's just supplanted by a more important or more useful piece of terminology that you can always just use instead, even if this other one's pretty good. And then lastly, there are the nice to knows. These terms are usually just more advanced vocabulary that I, in fact, use a ton, and you will someday use a ton once you get more familiar with things, but you don't need them right from the get-go. Maybe they're more complicated or a little more dangerous, or maybe they're just for niche cases that you're not going to be using all of the time. That said, let's hit it. Let's talk about the RDF must-haves, and this video can be shorter because there's just one, and that is RDF type. But even though there's just one, there are a few structural things I'm going to point to that might help you out a little bit. I hope you'll see at the top there we have the HTTPS colon, etc. That is the prefix. That is the location where the RDF terminology lives at. If we go take a look at an ontology in a turtle file here, and we're going to talk about the Ninja Turtles in just a second, but if we scroll to the top in this turtle file, we see here's the RDF prefix, right? That's the same thing that you see at the top of this page, and that's the same thing that if you put that into your web address, into your search bar, you will get this, and that is just the turtle file for RDF. So as much as I am grateful that you're coming to this channel for some of your ontology needs and knowledge, there's a primary source. If you have questions about OWL, if you have questions about RDF, RDFS, go first and foremost to those ontologies, look at the terminology, see what it has to say. If you want to learn about RDF type, it's here, it starts here. That's a great first place for you to go. And this is not just like, oh, as a good student, you would do that. Like, this is what I do when I'm building ontologies. In my ontology links bookmark here, you can see I've got RDF, RDFS, and OWL. I use these all the time. Okay, that said, what is RDF type? RDF type is our basic building block that lets individuals be related to the type that they are an instance of. So if we want to think about sets, you have an element of a set is that element has an RDF type of whatever set it's a part of. So here, if we have a class that is Ninja Turtle, and we want to find the instances of that class, like Michelangelo is a Ninja Turtle, and Leonardo, and Raphael, and Donatello, and so I assert that, and you might be like, but wait, the property was RDF type, and I don't see RDF type written anywhere on that page other than up here, and you're right, but actually RDF type is written everywhere, because if we just write A, so Leonardo A, Ninja Turtle, I don't know why I'm saying Leonardo versus Leonardo. Leonardo is a Ninja Turtle. That is the exact same thing as saying that Leonardo RDF type Ninja Turtle. This property is such a must-have and is so prevalent that we get sick of typing it, so we just write A instead. That's it. That's all there is to RDF type. It relates an individual to the class that it is a part of. That's all the must-haves, but there are some almost must-haves, and that's RDF property. As you might recall from previous videos, when we talk about sort of the parts of speech for a triple, we have a subject, property, object, and the property is the RDF property slot. Everything that can connect to other subjects and objects, to other nodes, is a property. So RDF type, for instance, is an RDF property, and we can even see that here. If we go and look at it, we say RDF type is a RDF property. Awesome. But the reason that RDF property is just an almost must-have instead of a must-have is I almost never type it. The reason for that is because we have OWL properties that are more specific. So an OWL object property or data type property, rarely am I creating a property and inserting that it's an RDF property, and for that reason it's just an almost must-have. The nice to knows are RDF statement and RDF list. These are potentially very useful, also potentially very dangerous. If you just stop the video now and don't pay attention to this, you're fine. Go ahead and let your eyes glaze over if you like. I'll say a few words about why they're useful. What the RDF statement allows us to do is take a triple like Casey eats pizza and then talk about the triple. We can say, well, that statement has a subject of Casey and a property or a predicate of eats and an object of pizza. And so then we can further say things about that statement, like when is that statement true? This gets into topics such as reification and RDF star, and there are all sorts of important and complicated things there. But if you're just starting out, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it at all. The second one is RDF list. Especially useful if you're a Lisp programmer. A lot of this sort of dates back to some Lisp syntaxes. And a list is just an ordered set of values. So we could talk about like the list of prime numbers less than 100 or something like that. Or I could relate myself to, the list of things that I did today, or I could create a to-do list and we could represent that in RDF. This turns out to be a pretty difficult representation to get right. Things get really complicated, but the main moving parts there are if you want to deconstruct a list, you can use RDF first to pull off the first entity. RDF rest gets me everything except the first entity, and RDF nil will just be the empty list, the list with nothing in it, and that allows us to do all sorts of procedural things. If you're not already, familiar with programming using lists, totally ignore this. If you're super familiar with programming using lists, you probably should also ignore this for other reasons. Maybe I'll get to that in another video. But we often don't want our ontology to be doing like complicated list math or restructuring or reordering. Instead, we want to get the semantics and just sort of the basics of meaning just right. And for that reason, RDF list it's complex. That's it. RDF list. RDF statement, maybe leave them on the side for a little bit, but go do some practice, do some RDF type assertions, and you can just use A instead of RDF type, maybe throw in an RDF property if you want, and then join me back for the next video where we'll talk about RDFS.